Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. A little something different today. We've been asked actually quite a few times now about why haven't we done any scorpion videos, and I thought to myself, right, we've had this custom aquaria enclosure sitting on the floor for I don't know how long. It's been sitting there and sitting there, and I've been intending to put my emperor scorpions in here, and we've got 3 of those. And these are actually captive bred scorpions. They came from Europe, and they're growing on really well. We've had them in these Braplast tubs, and they've grown on really well. Now, you regulars would have remembered we had one that molted out when it was only tiny. It was only little like this. It molted out, and it actually lost a claw. And we have no idea how that happened, because they didn't. I mean, how can you lose a claw in a box like that? It's really confusing as to how that ever happened. And we did wonder whether maybe they would grow back, because some people seem to think that they could grow them back. A bit like spiders, when they lose a leg, they often grow a leg back. It's never exactly the same as the one that it lost, but they do regenerate their legs. But unfortunately, our scorpion never has regenerated that claw. So he gets on really well, and he's pretty much hand fed. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, to be honest, but it's pretty much hand fed. And these guys will take crickets from the tweezers and roaches and bits and pieces, whatever we give them. Really, they really are a very easy scorpion to keep. And this is one of the reasons that these guys have found themselves on the CITES list. So they are protected now. Now, back in the day, when I was a nipper and first started out, the emperor scorpion, or the imperator, was the most commonly found scorpion in the pet trade. You didn't have Asian forest scorpions and things like that, and all the other wonderful scorpions that we have today. All you had was the emperor scorpion. Now, these guys come from West Africa, and they have quite a wide and diverse habitat that they will actually move around in. If you just look over to your right, you will see our big Sturmy up on the prowl. I've just seen her out of the corner of my eye. Now, you'd have remembered when we done the room tour, we were saying about this girl being always out on the move, prowling about, doing her thing. And there she is, doing her thing. She is such an active spider. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether this is an activity because she's happy or an activity because she's unhappy. So we're thinking we might just move her, as we mentioned in the room tour. Anyway, we digress, don't we? Yes, the emperor scorpion. So as we were saying, these guys come from West Africa. Now, back in the day, like I was saying, when I was a nipper, most of the imports came in from Africa and places like that back in the day. You didn't get them coming from all over the world like we do today. And because they live in a very wide range of habitats. So we find these in West Africa, we find these in tropical rainforests, which is where most people tend to think that that's how they are. But they also inhabit the savannas of West Africa as well, which is much drier, more of a grassland. And so they go from one extreme to the other, from rainforest, where it's massively humid, down to savanna areas where it's relatively dry. So that makes them a very hardy animal to keep, which is part of the reason they were so popular back in the day. And it makes them a very hardy animal for the hobby. And this is why they were collected in such huge numbers. Nowadays, because we've got CITES in place, they are protected, and really now the emphasis is on producing these in captivity, and we should be doing that now. So that was the plan in getting these youngsters. So we've grown them on to a reasonable size individually. We are now going to make up this enclosure here, and we are going to house the 3 of them all together. And we will see what happens. Hopefully,
will one claw be okay?
One claw should be fine. Yeah, it should be fine. They are very, very docile tarantulas, very docile scorpions, both towards us and towards each other. They're not that bad. They really are a very, very pleasant, easygoing scorpion. I've got tarantulas on the brain at the moment. I've got so many things running around my head that I want to get done.
Yeah.
Right, so let's get on with it, shall we? Now then, what we got? We got this large, this is 2 foot long, this enclosure, but it's only 8 inches deep. You're looking at the back now. What we're going to do, I am going to put this rather large. You notice it's all hollow underneath this piece of wood. So what we're going to do...
Let's look underneath it.
We're going to look underneath it.
Yeah.
So as you can see, you are looking at the underneath.
Oh!
Yeah, it's all right. Keep up, dear. Keep up. It's all right. She's blushing, guys. Yes, you are looking at the underneath. That's the top.
Okay.
Okay, right. So what we're going to do, we are going to, once camera lady gets with the program, she has little problems like this every now and again.
I don't know. You with your tarantulas and me with the bottom and tops.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, we are going to put a very light layer of soil in the bottom. Not too much, but a little bit more. Just to confuse camera lady. Then we're going to add a bit of sphagnum moss. Now this is just regular stuff that people use in their hanging baskets and things. So much cheaper than that shop reptile stuff you get. We do love a big bag like that. That holds, oh, I can't remember now. How many litres did that hold? 20 litres or something? It's a big bag anyway. You can buy a massive bag like that and it's all compressed and it costs you about a tenner. When I look in the shops and I see the price of this stuff, it frightens the life out of me. I'm just like, oh my God, absolute rip-off. Right. So what we're going to do, we are going to put a very, very thin layer on the bottom, like that. We've mixed a bit of moss in there just to help with the humidity. Now what we're going to do now is we are going to put our piece of wood in there as well. Now we only wanted to put a very thin layer on the bottom because we want this wood, it's quite heavy, so we want this wood to actually sit almost on the bottom so that there was no fear later on of it crushing, falling down and crushing one of our scorpions. So we've put a very, very light layer. Now if you're only using light pieces of wood, it's not really necessary to do that, but because we've gone for a rather heavy lump, it is a big old lump, I must admit, we want to just try and err on the side of caution. So what we're going to do now, we're going to add a little bit more soil to the other areas. Now that we've got that in there, I'm going to fill that in there. I'm going to add that. We're going to put some in this back corner.
Can't really get the depth of it from these.
Well, it will all become apparent in the end. Don't worry. Don't worry, it will all become apparent in the end.
I'm going to shut the door so we can lose some of the reflection.
So what we're doing now, I think I've actually probably put a little bit too much in here. So we can always take a bit out. A little bit too much for what I actually wanted. That's it. And what we can do, we can create little holes underneath to give our scorpions a little bit of extra help to get underneath this. We've got some round the back, so wherever we find an indentation, we can literally just stick our fingers in there, and that will help give them somewhere to hide. Now we're going to give them quite a large water bowl, so we're going to put that over here, quite large. And I'm quite tempted to actually put some moss. Now should I, yeah, I'm going to go with a bit of moss. And
What earth have you done with that?
we're going to put this in here. So we're going to put a bit of moss in the water bowl, and then what we will do, we will flood that, and then maybe we'll be able to crawl on top of that and do their thing without fear of drowning them. And we might find that we need to, from time to time, dry that out, empty that out and just replace it. So we've got a couple of different options with the moss. I do love this moss. What I'm going to do, I'll put that in here as well. Now these guys will dig about and bury and all sorts of stuff, and they can be quite robust. And so we did toy with the idea of putting some plants in here, but then really thought better of it, because I think unfortunately the plants won't actually survive very well. What we can do is we can, by using our moss, this will help lock in some of the moisture underneath the what do you call it, the wood and the soil. We're talking in riddles here. So I'm going to put a little bit in there. I think that will probably do it moss wise. I think that's actually, I'm going to put a little bit more in. What the hell? Just when I think it's finished, I look at something and I think, no, actually that needs a little bit more. What I want to do is put it around this water bowl, and that'll fill that in. Put that in there. There we go, that looks better. You can see how you can just change things around. The beauty of all this stuff is when you're designing something like this, you're thinking about the best sort of things really for the animals that are going to be going in it. It also needs to be sort of pleasing to the eye for us as well. So we've got some branches here as well, which I want to use. I'm thinking these guys will actually clamber about and climb around quite a bit, and this will just give us a little bit extra. A little bit of something else. There we go. How's that look?
Excuse us.
I like that. So I think that is probably going to do it. So we're going to encourage them to actually dig in underneath this block of wood here, and then hopefully they can use all the open space to do their thing and what have you. Later on, these aren't mature enough to breed at the moment, but later on, when they do become full adults, we can then put a nice flat piece of slate or something in there, so that when they come to pairing, the males drop their sperm on the slate, and then they drag the female over and she picks it up. And that's how scorpions pair and reproduce. So we will look at doing that a bit later on. We can add a piece of stuff in there for that purpose. Well, what we do need to do is find out in a little while, we'll find out what we've got, males or females. Now, as we were saying, these guys really are quite hard to come by now because of the CITES and the way that it's stopped the collection of these lovely, lovely creatures, which is a good thing. But for the hobby, it means sourcing captive bred things are just that little bit harder. But that should encourage us to actually do our bit and try and breed them ourselves. Now, there are people in the hobby that are working alongside doing some really important scorpion work, and one of those is Tim Baxter. So if you've got any questions or anything that you want to know a little bit extra about scorpion wise, he's your man. You'll find him on Facebook, and you'll often see him at the shows as well, working alongside creatures from the north. So we're going to put that on there. That is going to allow that to fill up, and hopefully we'll get a bit of tissue. I'll clean this bit of front glass off now that I've actually washed it. So yes, there are a few individuals that are out there doing some really, really cool work. And obviously in Europe as well, there is a lot of work going on there. And this is where quite often our captive bred stuff is coming from at the moment. So we need to do our bit in the UK. And hopefully we can join in the fun and try and do our little bit to help out as well. There we go. Right then, shall we have a look at these absolutely amazing scorpions? So here's the first one. Now this is one, as you can see, they really are a lovely glossy black. Would it be easier if I pop him in there?
Let's try it just in case he runs around.
So let me
You actually just
put it a bit lower for you. There you go.
a bit better.
Now we've got another one here as well. This one's a little bit bigger. But yeah, look at that glossy black. Now another interesting thing with these, if you put them under UV light, these guys will glow green or blue, which is really quite special.
Can you get him to face us?
You can try. Normally you touch them and they get all a bit sort of thingy. There you go, look at that. Look. Face the camera.
Hello. Hey.
There you go. Aren't they just absolutely wonderful? Now if you look at the stinger on this one, you have a nice close look at that, you'll see that it's actually white. It's actually white, like a creamy white. Look at that. That's showing off now, that one. And this is one of the ways that you can tell whether you have a genuine emperor scorpion or whether you have an Asian forest. The Asian forest scorpions are black on their stinger, so it's an easy way to tell them apart. And we have been to places before now, shops where they're selling them as emperor scorpions with rather high price tags on them, and they are in fact Asian forest scorpions. So make sure you do your homework and you find out exactly what you've got. But look at that, that's an incredible looking thing. Now you'll notice here as well, this one I think is probably going to be coming up for a molt, because they tend to be a bit blacker than this.
They've been feeding nice.
They do, yeah, they have a very, very good feeding response.
We only fed them yesterday, so.
Yeah. Now then, in terms of handling, these guys generally are relatively calm. They're not a defensive animal, really. They can sting you.
Curious.
And, you know, I wouldn't want to get stung by one, although it is by all accounts, very, very mild. But remember, we all react very, very differently to venoms and things like this. So what I tend to do is, like, now she is climbing out, so we would now put our hand down. Yeah, look, she's backed off. So this shows actually that they are not a defensive creature at all.
Do you know this is a she? We
don't know. I'm not 100%. I'm not the best at sexing these guys either. So what we are going to do, we've already mentioned Tim Baxter, and do check him out, because he really is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to scorpions, and he has got many, many different types, and I say been doing some really, really interesting work. So we're gonna, look at that, see, she backs off again. So I was rather hoping she was going to climb out, and then what we can do then is we can actually move her over. So what we can try and get her to move over onto our hand. We'll give that a try. You see how, look, how they work themselves out. Their eyesight is absolutely phenomenal. You see, there's no thing there. She's literally
hide me.
Yeah. You see how, look, she's just giving it up. There we go. You know, she's not gone into a defensive posture whatsoever.
What would it look like if she did?
She would stand with her claws out, ready, her tail raised. She would be looking like she's in fight mode. If I bring her over here, is that easier?
Yeah, come on then.
What we do, put her down there.
Oh, sorry, go through the glass.
Oh, we're gonna get another one in a minute. So we're just gonna move her over. See how gentle they are? Really, really gentle. So that's one. What we'll have a do, we'll have a look at our little stub claw here.
Hey.
Now this is our one claw wonder, and like I say, we have no idea how this scorpion lost its claw. No idea at all. But as you can see there, it literally is nothing there. There we go. Now you can see by the sides of this one, it does enjoy its food. And this is how we gauge.
Spoil him a bit too much.
You do spoil this one, don't you? And this is how we can gauge keeping them from getting too overweight. And it's also a good indication of when you're seeing these guys, if they're gravid, they swell up really, really big. And you can see clearly there the white stinger as well on this one. You notice the hairs all up and down the tail. They can detect everything that's going on around them. And as we've seen, they've got pretty good eyesight as well. So what we'll do is we'll put our hand down over here and we'll see if we can't get it to... Now you see the posture of this one is slightly different.
He's only got one claw, so he's got to be careful.
Yeah, so here we go, we're up. You notice how well they hold on. Look at that, it's almost upside down. Look at that. Now, with the Asian forest scorpion...
Can you get him to sit still so I can try and get his claw?
I'm trying.
The missing one.
I don't have any control over what it does.
Of course you do. We whisper.
Yeah, we whisper. So, with the Asian forest scorpion, some of them will behave like this, and others can be quite defensive. Whereas generally, these guys are pretty good.
Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't do nothing. kind of got it.
Sort of got it. Right,
Yeah.
let's put this one in. So we're going to put this one. There we go. Off she goes. You might get a bit better chance of her on there. Very interesting, the lost claw. Really is. Let me turn that around.
Yeah, you be nice.
So as you can see, they're going to have a lot of activity of an evening. These are a nocturnal scorpion, so you don't really see them in the daytime. But of a night time, they will come out and they will start hunting and they will be looking into everything.
Why do they glow?
Now that is a question, and I can't remember the answer.
Whoops. Tim, put in the comments for us.
Yes.
Why do they glow?
I cannot remember. I cannot remember why they react to UV lighting.
Is it because of them being nocturnal, essentially, with the sun?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm not sure. I will have to look it up. Now this one has just literally
This one's really shy.
hidden away.
Proper shy.
It is proper shy, isn't it?
Yeah. I normally feed it through the hole.
Now this is the bigger one of the three. There you go. And as you can see, this is a full robust looking thing, this one. This really is a larger scorpion. Now bearing in mind, they all started, you see how, look at that, that turn, look at that, that's grabbed it. Probably thought it, yeah, look, it thought it was food.
He literally got fed yesterday.
So you can see the difference in the temperament. That's got hold of the paintbrush and it's giving it what for. Now do we dare pick this one up?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course, I'll look at her. Right. You notice he's very, very, very...
nervous.
Yeah, he's a little bit, isn't he? Let's hope he don't sting me.
No, he won't.
So we will see. Much more nervous than the other one, which is
He tends to not come out as much either.
Quite interesting considering this is the larger of the three. Now maybe, just maybe, there might be something in the sexes. Maybe one is more confident than the other. So as you can see there, they are really quite placid. Oh, beautiful.
Are their pincers very strong?
Yes, if it gave you a pinch, it's like a crab.
Oh
yeah, same sort of thing. They literally are designed just like a crab's claw as well, and they have got some real power. And sometimes you will see them when they're rummaging around. They will check things out and squeeze things in their pincers just to see what they're doing. You can see now he's like a little bit confused by the hairs on my arm.
Are you tickling him?
Yeah. You'll remember is that their pincers are a way of checking out their surroundings. You see, you get a little bit of size there with him on my hand. There you go, look at that. I say, I wouldn't feel as comfortable doing this with some of our Asian forest scorpions because some of them are quite fractious to say the least, and they are a lot bigger at the moment as well. And even despite it being said that they have a mild venom, I don't really want to find out. And hence why we don't really tend to handle anything at all. But these guys are a little bit of an exception. They are quite gentle. Well, what we don't want is you disappearing up my arm. Do we? So we can go back the other way. That's it. What we'll do is we'll get it over here. You're going to move over there. Okay. Go see your buddies.
So, just a little throw it out there. With the handling, because obviously with the tarantulas, we don't really do that. What's the kind of thing here? Is it?
Well, with these, it's like we found through the past as well that generally with the emperor scorpion, they are very, very docile, and they don't mind it. You know, you've seen here, they don't really react as such, so they're very, very gentle, and it gives us an opportunity as a keeper to be able to get that little bit closer and, you know, have a little bit of an interaction. That being said, these probably will not get picked up again until we completely rehouse them. We probably won't ever touch them again. So I wouldn't make a habit of getting them out and playing around with them.
Does it make a difference that it has the sting and not the fangs, and the way it behaves?
No, not at all, because what you've got to remember is for like tarantulas with their fangs, that is how they defend themselves, is by biting or kicking hairs and things like that. With scorpions, that sting is their form of defense, so they can actually use that to ward off any kind of creature that's likely to be trying to predate on them, or they can use it for killing their prey, the same as tarantulas do with their fangs. So they've got quite a unique way of looking after themselves. Now you'll find these are quite a large, bulky scorpion. Generally speaking, scorpions with very fine pincers and tiny stingers and what have you, generally are the more sort of the more venomous, and they're the ones that we need to be a little bit more careful. So we've just found these two have just found one another.
Trying to. Would you mind coming over and seeing on the video if you can get better for me?
You can try.
You've got the knack for the reflection and things.
Yeah, you've not got a lot of sight there, have we?
No.
What we got now is two of them have just found each other, but it's difficult to see. Now, the third one's coming over to play as well now. So what we will see is that there will be some form of interaction between these guys, where they are literally just finding out who's who.
Is it like when dogs sniff bums?
A little bit, yeah. That's probably not a bad way of putting it. So look at that, look. You can see now, it's very difficult with the thing, but look at the tail waggling of this scorpion here. So it's obviously excited because it's just met another one of its own kind. Look at that.
That's so cool.
Now this is the sort of thing that we would experience if we were pairing them. That is fabulous footage there.
I'm glad you got that.
Very, very exciting. There it goes again. Unfortunately, our other scorpion is they're sort of locked in there. It's hard to actually tell from that, because one is underneath the log and one is outside, and then we have this one here, the larger one of the three, is actually coming over to have a look. The reflection is absolutely awful.
Would it be easier from the other side because you haven't got so many lights? Come on with you.
Try that. It's a little bit better.
Yeah.
There we go. Very, very difficult to see. But we are getting the general gist of what is going on. So as you can see there is one hanging literally outside and one underneath the log. This one is now backing off. So this is their first introduction. These guys have never met before. So it's going to be quite an interesting thing to see how they get on and what they will do. Now, one of the things that, that generally is the case with things that carry venom of any description is it's not normally effective on one another. So it's normally designed to incapacitate prey or predators. But generally speaking, if they inject each other, it shouldn't be really a problem.
I think one claw's giving Matachode.
I think he has.
Does that maybe insinuate that there's two males, or?
Well, yeah, it could well be. As we can see there now, this is the larger one, and he's actually come out now. He's left the fray. So that is fabulous stuff. And we have this one here with his bum in the air.
It's weird, you can't really see what's going on down there.
No, it's very difficult. There isn't a lot of room.
Why are they doing it there? It's so annoying.
So what we can do is we can try and manoeuvre those out. See if we can't pick them up, because someone has got hold of someone.
Yeah, they are. They're in. That's one claw. He ain't letting go.
He's not, is he?
There we go.
There we go. Now what we might
He wants to go back.
What we might have done. Now, have we actually split up
Potential mating.
the potential mating, or have we just split up a fight? So we will have to keep an eye on these little guys and see what happens. And I think it will take a little bit of time for them to settle in and find their feet, as it were.
See what I hope if this one comes over. See, is it a fight? Because he's going back.
Well, yeah. Yeah, this one's going out for a look now.
It's like they both want that one.
It's going to be an interesting little bit of time, I think. We're getting some lovely footage here. Alright then, we will watch this space and see what happens.
It's so cool.
Very, very cool. Right, I shall spin this around so you get to have another look. Now, food-wise, we are feeding these any roaches like red runners or dubia roaches. They will take those. We find the males are the best thing to be feeding with these because they are very active and they will hunt them down. If you put female dubias in here, they will bury and disappear. The other thing they really like is large crickets, which they will physically hunt down, and you'll be surprised just how efficient these guys are. They really are quite the predator. We are talking millions of years of evolution here. They haven't changed in all that time. They are absolutely splendid things. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on one claw and make sure things don't get out of hand there.
Otherwise you need to come back to Mummy's little box.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye because he is possibly half the size. So it might well be worth, we'll see how things go.
Using the stinger and the tail to climb.
Yeah, yep. They use their tails for all sorts of things.
Good to see they can't climb glass.
No, they can't climb. These guys are just about to meet each other again. Oh no, he's gone the other way. But we will keep an eye on them and see what they get up to. But I think we're gonna keep the little one away for the time being, and we'll try and get that up to a bit more size, I think, because that's a brute of a scorpion.
And we can look at if they're playing or fighting.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll have a word with our friend Tim and see what he thinks. But yeah, that was rather interesting, the way they were pulling them backwards and forwards like that. But yeah, she seemed a little bit too overpowered, I think. So we'll see how we go. Right then. So then, temperature-wise, what are we doing temperature-wise? We are keeping these up in the top shelf of the room, so it's going to be nice and warm up there. So we are looking at sort of 80 plus for these, really, up on the top shelves. They've got a glass lid coming on here, so this is going to stay nice and humid. We've got plenty of ventilation in the back, so there'll be a good airflow through this as well. The glass isn't flush fitting, so there is gaps along the top as well, so there will be a certain amount of ventilation through there as well. So it's important with the high humidity creatures that we still have a good airflow, because it's stagnant air which causes much of the problems. That one really is quite a brute. Very interesting.
She's a dominant male or a female? Or
yeah, I don't know. Don't know. We will definitely need to keep an eye on these guys and see what goes on.
Maybe he's just been so long and lonely.
Yeah.
Overexcited.
Maybe. We will see. That is definitely the stronger one of the two. Right. What we might do. Come out here, you. Let's see if we could. Problem is, as soon as you touch them, they spin round. Right then, let's leave them there. We will keep an eye on them and see what they get up to. Hopefully, they settle down and become friends over time. Right then, don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. I'll see you all soon, guys.